When Canada hosted the G7 summit, the Prime Minister stood alongside his closest international partners. But as Canada wades through a messy diplomatic dispute with Saudi Arabia, he's getting little public support from those same trusted allies.
We have seen a weakening of the sort of solidarity that I think would have been taken for granted a few years ago. And that is a very, very worrying thing.
This former British High Commissioner to Canada is disappointed the UK and the US are staying neutral in the spat. The British Foreign Office offered a brief statement saying Canada and Saudi Arabia are both close partners of the UK and we urge restraint. And earlier this week, the line from the US, Canada is on its own.
Both sides need to diplomatically resolve this together. We can't do it for them. They need to resolve it together.
In the wake of Brexit in the UK and the rise of Donald Trump in the US, traditional superpowers are stepping back from their international responsibilities. Anthony Carey says the lack of solidarity is a result of that shift.
And I hope that this is just some rough weather that we're going through and that we can restore the strength of those relationships. Because it's a very worrying thing if we simply get into a world where it's every nation for itself.
Canada would not be testing the strength of its allies, some argue, if it stuck to traditional diplomatic channels rather than use Twitter.
The thing with Canada, their approach was undiplomatic. Behind closed doors, dialogue, communication, that's diplomacy.
Tensions with the Crown Prince, who has spent money and time trying to improve his international image, are not easing just yet. But there are hints the worst may have passed. It was confirmed today oil exports from Saudi Arabia to Canada will not stop because of the dispute. And the freshly recalled Saudi ambassador to Canada said Justin Trudeau's comments yesterday were positive, though he was clear to say Canada needs to do more to restore the relationship. With the rise of nationalism in the UK and the US, diplomats say Canada may need to become comfortable with standing alone on the world stage, because that is exactly where it's likely to stay for the time being. Katie Simpson, CBC News, London.